Welcome to Flow session of 10 questions in 10 minutes.
This time I'm with Helene, one of our SEO consultants in our team of experts.
She leads client campaign and strategies. She builds costume strategies. She executes complex content and technical audits, and she navigates the changing search landscape in Flow Agency,
aka our team.
Helene recently published a detailed study in her blog in collaboration with Zipty.dev, where she analyzed 5,000 keywords,
ranging from top of the funnel blog content to bottom of the funnel specific terms, to discover how this display on Google after AI Overview was launched.
Are those businesses positioned in first results still featured in the same position? Were all positions lost? And do all queries display AI Overview results now?
We have Helene to answer all of this. Thank you, Helene, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
What is Google AI Overview?
A search feature. So similar to a map pack or a knowledge panel, it is a feature that you cannot turn on or off from Google, but it's basically their AI-assisted search. So utilizing their Gemini along with their algorithms for search, they create this sort of AI overview, which is supposed to help answer user search queries at the top of the page before you see the rest of search results.
So in this case, SaaS marketers were your targeted audience for the study. Why should they care?
SaaS marketers should be concerned because there will be a drop in organic traffic. There will be a reduction in clicks. AI Overview is aiming to answer someone's query without them having to click through. If you are working in SaaS marketing in the last few years, it's been very trendy to do glossaries, programmatic SEO, and in this case, a lot of these terms are getting hit by AI Overview, pushing your links further down the search results page. And so when you're thinking about typical SaaS SEO strategies, AI Overview would be something you're thinking about.
First started the study, what was the main goal?
To understand the whole search landscape. So there was a lot of people releasing data, especially from Zipty, saying AI Overview is showing, this percent of times, or the scope of all the keywords they were using were so varied. They were mixing e-commerce with software, local with just general like lifestyle. It was just very, very mixed. And I think that kind of data is essentially useless to me. I wanted to aggregate it. I wanted to understand, are there patterns between the types of keywords where AI Overview shows up? So is it going to show up for bottom of funnel versus top of funnel? Will it show up if free is included in the keyword? And so really narrowing down and getting actual information. When is AI Overview showing up? Just not how frequently.
And I assume you probably found lots of these. So which one was the most surprising for you?
For the comparative keywords. Comparative keywords have AI Overview appear only 4% of the time. That's very, very low. And I've been running these numbers for probably the past, let's say, year or year and a half. When SGE, previous name to AI Overview, was launched, I started running tests. You and I have been testing so many sites. Comparative keywords, best tools for email marketing, job management solutions. These ones where people are at the bottom of the funnel thinking about making a purchase, wanting to compare different vendors. They were definitely very strongly hit by AI Overview, but since the rollback in the last month or so, it's down to 4% in the HR workforce management space. And so that's definitely a space to look out for. I don't expect it to stay that low, but it's an area that, try to get yourself in there now.
In your day-to-day work, how has this impacted?
And now I am thinking about branded search. So before I would never think about branded anything. I didn't if there was a drop in branded search, I was like, okay, it's probably email, it's probably outreach. It's not me. It can't be me. I don't do anything branded. Well, now brand is very, very important. Brand, becoming a branded entity and being known by Google and other search engines about who you are and being able to appear in AI Overview. So keeping an eye on branded search is definitely a new, aspect to my job that didn't exist 2 years ago.
So for any SaaS marketer, what's the adjust in their strategy that you would recommend?
First, communicate with all of your stakeholders. There will be drops to traffic. Creating traditional traffic goals maybe not necessarily going to work. Anticipate the traffic drops for keywords. Use zip tie if you have those set of key keywords that you're very obsessed with, that you need to hold those rankings. But do anticipate that even if you're not losing rankings, you may lose traffic simply because AI overview is satisfying a search query. And that's just bound to keep happening more and more. Think about your brand, think about your brand presence, do a structured data audit, start working on your branded search presence and diversifying your content.
So if I'm one of your clients, how would you explain the impact that AI overview
might have on my results?
It's always a challenge. I think if you've been working with a team for a period of time and they remember what happened with featured snippets, it definitely was a big drop to organic traffic. It's basically the same thing happening again. So I think communicating that and being very open that we maybe not are able to hit the same kind of traffic goals that you were able to hit previous years due to this shift in AI. I mean, this is an AI assisted search feature and it's changing the way that people are interacting with search. And so you can't just keep doing the same thing.
So when conducting a keyword research, for example, how much influence does the AI overview keywords have now?
You probably should have more. It's definitely something I haven't been checking or thinking about. I've mainly been trying to think about how can I get really, really specific topics and pieces of content that make sense for their audience. How can I complete that funnel? How can I reach those middle of funnel users or people in the decision-making period? I'm not really thinking about those top of funnel, very generic topics at all. They've been done. I'm sort of over it as well. As someone who really likes content, I'm really excited about this new challenge to write new things.
I read your study and you've mentioned just now that entities are crucial in this matter. So what are the main tips for being an entity?
Doing that branded search audit to make sure that your brand is consistent, that your logo is consistent across platforms. Very similar to local SEO when you're doing the name, address, phone number, we want to do that again, but with your brand. To become an entity is to become a very specific, identifiable thing or person or place that these large language models are able to decipher from somebody else. And to do that, we need structured data. So making sure that your structured data is correct and that it's up to date. Maybe you did your structured data 2 years ago when your logo was updated, but you didn't update it there. And so there's all these little tiny details, basically, that I think it's time to think about that. Do you have a knowledge graph? Did you claim it? Do you keep your Google My Business up to date? So what do you look like in search? And are you proud of that? Because you want users or people, potential customers, to get excited when they see your brand and when they engage with it. They don't want it to look like they walked into your store and you just have trash everywhere. So
my last question for you would be,
what advice would you give to any business that's facing issues with AI overview results today?
Everything I just said.
Yeah.
Branded search audit, definitely. Get this, see what shows in search when you put your brand name in. Making sure that your structured data is correct. Also, just being very creative with that content. So instead of going after what is employee management, you can think about moments to connect with your audience. They're human. they're not an algorithm. So you can try managing seasonal roofing crews or managing overtime and manufacturing. Or instead of what is shift scheduling, you would do shift scheduling for hospitals, best practices. And so taking those things that maybe we already wrote about in a very generic way, but making them more tailored to your audience so that when they read that, they realize I'm in the right place and this person knows what I'm going through. So I think it's humanizing it, even though there is these algorithms, there's these little technical things that I'm talking about, and people get really stressed when you talk about schema markup. But I think if you focus on the content, you focus on your audience and creating those moments to share with them, that's going to have a major impact.
To finish with the 10 questions, it's been a great summary of your study.
So, for having me. It's been great.
We'll see each other in the next session of 10 questions in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thanks.